Hello everyone, thank you very much for tuning in here for another day here at the Aquarium Project. I really appreciate the support and would just like to take a moment to say thank you. If you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe and all that other good stuff. Smash that bell icon, drop a comment, you know the drill. But yeah, aside from that, I'd just like to say thank you and let's get into the video, eh? So first off for today, I'll just do my usual disclaimer that we will just be walking around, I'll show you fish and dry goods and stuff, and I'll just point stuff out as we go while I talk over it, just for basically something more fun to look at while you're listening to me talk than me just sitting there. So yeah, let's get into it. So today's video is something that I'm quite passionately against, and I think everyone should be. I think it should probably be illegal, but that is the practice of selling terrestrial plants or marginal plants as aquarium plants. Now, obviously, the first question most people are going to have is, what is he talking about? What does he mean when he says terrestrial or marginal plants? So terrestrial or marginal plants are like houseplants or like rainforest plants or plants that grow, like, if you can imagine, like right where the bank would meet the water, like if this is the bank, like right on the edge. So these kind of plants for an aquarium use. So some real common ones is this one, which is called a syngonium, but in the aquatic trade we call it, what do we call it? We call it stardust or something like that, stardust plant. Which is basically just a made-up name, so people don't know what it is. Things like peace lilies are quite common, otherwise called Borneo sword. There's heaps of them. I'm not going to go through all of them, but those are probably the two most common examples. But as a whole, we do sell a lot of them as aquatic plants when, quite frankly, they're not. So why is this? The first question, obviously, well, the next question, obviously, is, why is this a bad thing? Why does it matter? Why can't we just do it? So the thing that happens when you put a terrestrial or a marginal plant fully submerged is basically it's just going to die. Sometimes they'll kind of cling on to life for a bit longer. Sometimes they'll just rot away in 5 seconds. But basically either way, they're not going to last more than, like, I don't know the science, but like say 6 weeks, maybe a bit longer, maybe not that long, but somewhere in that region. They'll last about 6 weeks before they're absolute mush, and you just have to basically get rid of them. So the reason that this is quite a, I'm not going to say popular, I'm going to say common practice, is that obviously from a business perspective, what's going to happen is you get a family who doesn't really know or care about, what kind of fish or what kind of plant. They're just like, give me something suitable. So they just grab whatever 5 plants they like, and say some of them happen to be these terrestrial or marginal plants. So what's going to happen is they're going to take these plants home, set everything up, da-di-da, everything's happy. But over the course of these 6 weeks, that plant is going to slowly just kind of melt away and die. And then in 6 weeks, the thought is what these people are going to do is they're going to come back and buy another one to replace the one that they've chucked in the bin or completely got mushed up or gotten rid of somehow. And then as a business, you can have that recurring cash flow of, oh yep, I can just replace this plant for $5 every 6 weeks and keep them coming back. Maybe they'll buy a new ornament while they're here. Maybe they'll buy some more fish food. And it's kind of a bit of a hook to get people to keep coming back to the shop. I think this is a very flawed sort of ploy or plan for a lot of reasons, basically. But from a business perspective, I don't think it's a very clever idea, because what's going to happen then is people are just, they might do that 4 times, say. They might do it 10 times, but they will eventually stop coming. So now just be like, right, we can't keep plants alive. The tank is always looking grubby from all this extra waste created by these plants decaying and falling to bits. So we're just going to get rid of it and we'll get a dog instead. Which I think is a real shame, because it does a real disservice to this hobby that we love, where people are being set up specifically to fail because unfortunately there is financial motivation to that. I don't think that's right. I think that, quite frankly, that should be an illegal practice. And I think it's really it's just gross, basically. And I think an important caveat to put here is I'm not just talking about, like, a lot of say this or talk about this with people. You will hear, a lot of people being like, oh yeah, that's just animates, that's, Petco or whatever. I don't know what the American version of animates is, but you get my drift. But it really isn't. There is plenty of shops out there that, quite frankly, should know the difference and should not be selling them, who do this because it makes money. And of course, you can't fault people for trying to make money, but I think it is, in my opinion, dishonest and just really sad for the hobby as in general and as a whole. So what do we do about this? Like, I think if people, I really truly believe this, if people are set up to be successful in keeping their aquariums, and that's the whole aquarium, not just the fish. If they're successful keeping plants, if they're successful with the fish they want, if they want to create a biotope, they want to do some aquascaping, they want to just fill it with pink gravel and a castle, whatever they want, that's going to hook people into the hobby. So that is the thing that everyone knows, all of us will know. It's a very common joke around fish keeping circles that fish keepers will always find something to spend their money on. If they're having success with one tank, we don't need to milk every single last dollar out of that tank. If they're having success and they're enjoying it, they're just going to buy another tank that's going to need filling, or they're going to want to redo the aquascape and buy a bunch more rocks, or the fish are going to still need food, or. There's always something fish keepers want to spend their money on, because quite frankly, we enjoy our hobby, and what more would you rather do? So I think it's really important to kind of remember that, and I would urge anyone who's watching who is selling these plants in this way to please at least think twice about it. Ideally stop. And that's not to say that you can't sell these plants. A lot of the loophole a lot of people, or a lot of shops use sort of around this moral dilemma, shall we say, is with a little disclaimer at the bottom of the page or somewhere random where people aren't going to look in the shop, is that these are intended for terrarium or pond use or whatever, like on the edge of a pond or something. And I mean, that's fine, we can still sell them for terrarium use, but the disclaimer has to be very obvious where people can actually see it. That's the most important part. Or something that I personally love, if we sell these plants to go out of the back of a filter or jam them out the side of a tank or something like this, people are still going to buy them. Everybody loves this look of, this is a pothos here obviously, but growing plants out the top of the tank, and then they have the roots dangling down and going through the tank. Everybody loves this. We can still sell these plants, but we have to sell them in a way where people are going to actually have success in growing them and have success in fish keeping as a whole. So, whoops, just tripped over. I think that's the most important part, and that is something I'm really passionate about. And I think it's really sort of, I mean, to be honest, I think it's embarrassing that we sell plants this way. I really don't think there's any excuse at all. It's a horrible practice. It's stupid. It's moronic. It's doing a disservice to our hobby. Please stop, everyone. Of course, I would love to hear what you guys think. If you think we should keep doing it, please let me know. I'd love to talk about it with you guys. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I had for today. Kind of what I wanted to talk about. It's a little bit hard to know in the moment. So I kind of mentioned a couple of the common ones. There's like spider plants, philodendrons, what's the other one? Peace lilies is quite common, syngoniums. But I can't go through them all, otherwise that'll be a whole video of itself, just me talking about names. So I don't know really what to do. I just say the only sort of thing we can do is just be a bit mindful when you're buying from shops. I mean, this is going to sound gross, but like, if you're buying them from me, all the ones sold as aquatic plants are aquatic plants. And then, if you want to buy some to grow out the back of your tank, I've got plenty, but they're separate and they're specifically like growing out of tanks in the moment, so like you can see and I'll tell you and everything. But if you're if you're overseas or buying them from someone else, it's hard to know. So it might just be a matter of just having to Google it or ask, not ask one person, ask like 5 people, or ask on an aquascaping Facebook group or something like that, and just try and grab this information. So yeah, but no, thank you very much for watching. That's all I had for today's video. I really appreciate you guys watching, and please like and subscribe and comment down below with your thoughts. I'd really love to hear them. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. I love you all so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.